Macho nikifungua uko umetoka.
Do you have any papers?
So zile mi papers natambua ni do, pesa, kichere au go.
What drives you, young man?
Money.
Is he looking for a mother in you or for a wife?
Huyo kijana hata mimi roho yangu haimwamini.
Next time is here, you let me know.
Ama wabie kama wakuja asimamage pale kwa gate.
Mimi hufanya kazi yote lakini kama ndiyo ya kuwa hapana mimi. Dai, 50.
Yes.
Na uko sua kabisa utaki tumfanya nini?
I don't care what you do with him.
Msikilizaji wa Radio Taifa, karibu tena kwenye kipindi kinajulikana kama Rada ni Yesu. Kila Jumapili kinaletwa kwako na rubani unayempenda anajulikana kama Mr. Rafton Iggy. Ungana nami kila Jumapili kuanzia mida ya saa 12 mpaka saa 1 usiku. Kuna muziki noma sampulia hii.
Najua nitaona mazuri.
Mpenzi msikilizaji, ni kunanga ni kukaskush. Kila Jumapili ninakuletea miziki za mavijana. Kama wewe ni kijana na unataka injili kamili, utaipata hapa. Tuonane Jumapili hii.
Sauti ya Mkenya.
Mpiga kura upo? Ni wakati wa kucheki kama details zako ziko sawa ndani ya register ya IBC. Tembelea kituo ulikojiandikisha kufikia tarehe 2 Juni mwaka huu na wasilisha ID au passport yako kwa afisa wa IBC. Waweza pia kucheki details zako kwa kutuma nambari ya ID au passporti hashtag na mwaka wa kuzaliwa kwa SMS 70000 au tovuti verify.iebc.or.ke. Iwapo details zako si sawa, tembelea kituo ulikojiandikisha au ofisi ya IBC katika eneo bunge lako. Kuwa sure na details zako. IEBC, your vote, your future.
Good afternoon. Thank you for creating time for us. This is KBC. You're just in time for the lunchtime news. My name is Irene Muchuma Odim. On sign language interpretation, we have Lanza Odingo. It is 81 days to the next general election. Do interact with us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. Our top focus this afternoon, a section of the politicians from the Migori County has urged the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, to deliver credible elections in order to reduce cases of electoral petitions that results from bungled elections. The leaders who spoke in Migori say the commission should uphold the principle of integrity by delivering accurate results in the upcoming general election.
Leaders from Migori County want the Electoral Commission to ensure that the August elections are credible and fair, to reduce cases that drag in court and thereby halting delivery of services to the electorate. The leaders who spoke after having consultative meeting with IEBC also called for political tolerance as heated campaigns begin.
Do not want elections in Migori to generate unnecessary petitions like in other places where elections may get mismanaged and candidates end up filing petitions.
In the neighboring Kisii County, independent candidates want the law amended to provide for independent candidate political party.
Vyama vyetu vijirudie na vianze kufanya kulingana na mujibu wa sheria. Lakini nasikitika kusema ya kwamba katika nchi yetu ya Kenya hatuna vyama vya kisiasa. Vitu ambavyo tuko navyo ni vyama vya watu binafsi ambavyo havina maono. Ndipo nikasema ni afadhali niende mimi kama askofu mstaafu Daktari Onyancha niwe mgombea uhuru.
Meanwhile, politicians affiliated to Ford Kenya Party in Kitale appealing to their counterparts to preach politics of unity and not incite the youth during the electioneering period.
Tusitukanane. Tutafute kura kwa amani. Tusifanye ile yenye unaenda kwa mitandao unatukana mwenzako, hata maneno yenye hata haiwezi semekana. Na sisi kama kina mama tukue wa ANC, tukue wa ODM, tukue wa Kenya Kwanza, tukue wa Azimio. Sasa tuache mambo ya vyama na tuache mambo ya ukabila. Uwe Mkamba, uwe Mluya, uwe Mjaluo, uwe Mturukana, uwe Mteso na kabila mbalimbali. Tunasema ya kwamba sisi wote tuangalie Martha Karua kama mama mwenye tukimsupport atafanya sisi wa mama wenye tuko hapa pia tuende juu.
This as the Ameru community in Isiolo County settled on businessman Mwenda Dhuranira as the community's sole candidate for the Isiolo North parliamentary seat.
Na tumekubaliana sisi wote, hii wasee wako hapa ni wasee kutoka miaka 50 kwenda juu. Tumekubaliana sisi wote Mwenda ndio tunapeleka mbunge.
Mimi kama Mwenda Dhuranira niko tayari kuhudumia watu wote wa Isiolo bila kubagua yeyote, sababu Isiolo ni ya kila mtu.
Tunamwombea katika wema jamii zote za Isiolo, simuunge mkono, sio wasee wale wako hapa mpeke yao, ni wote walio katika Isiolo.
In Kakamega County, several aspirants have called for a free and fair election.
I want to appeal to myself, appeal to my competitors, and appeal to all other candidates in all other positions that this is our county. We don't want our county to emerge as a violent area.
For Lunchtime News, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Kitui gubernatorial opponents, Governor Charity Ngilu and former Senator David Musila have vowed to join hands in rallying the Kitui electorate behind Raila Odinga's presidential bid in the countdown to August polls. Addressing journalists after an IEBC meeting with Kitui County aspirants at Kitui Multipurpose Hall, the duo said the region's bid to be in the national government supersedes their ambitions for the county top job.
A political showdown is expected in the Kitui gubernatorial race come August 9th as incumbent Charity Ngilu and former Senator David Musila battle for the top county seat. Ngilu will be defending her seat on a NAC ticket while Musila is in Jubilee, with both parties affiliated to Raila Odinga's Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party. The duo has, however, vowed to reconcile their differences and have now joined hands in rallying the Kitui electorate behind Raila Odinga's presidential bid.
We are not enemies at all. We first and foremost want to make sure that we are going to win the national government. And we are both campaigning for Raila Amolo Odinga to be the president of the Republic of Kenya. And if I become the governor of Kitui, or he becomes the governor of Kitui, we will be in the same government.
As male candidates, we will respect one another in our campaigns and also campaign for the presidential candidate for Azimio.
These come in a few days after a cross-section of Ukambani leaders slammed Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who unveiled his running mate despite being affiliated to Azimio. Wiper Party had nominated former Kitui Governor Julius Makau Malombe as their candidate for the Kitui gubernatorial contest. Frederick Mwoki for Lunchtime News.
A section of DAP Kenya leaders have poked holes on the Kenya Kwanza Coalition power sharing agreement proposing to award Ford Kenya and National Amani National Congress Party 30% of the government slots on conditions that they bring on board 70% of the Western vote. The leaders, led by DAP Kenya leader Wafula Wamunyinyi, said Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi have not been promised anything for the Western region.
The Western leaders have split over power-sharing promises made by Deputy President William Ruto and Raila Odinga. Azimio Western team led by DAP Kenya Party leader Wafula Wamunyinyi and CS Eugene Wamalwa lashed Kenya Kwanza power-sharing agreement that had earlier proposed to award Ford Kenya and ANC 30% of their government if they will make sure that Kenya Kwanza garners 70% of the Western vote.
Nyinyi mjue hata na sisi tuko kwa coalition na tayari vitu vingine zimeshatangazwa. Mmeona DAP tumeshapata ya speaker wa Senate. Ile Lusaka aliwacha anakuja kuanguka kura hapa na sisi tunachukua ile ya speaker wa Senate kama DAP. Already tumeshapata moja. Tayari ingine kama Azimio ya Treasury tumechukua. Kakamega. Alafu Eugene Wamalwa yake iko guaranteed.
Mwaka huu Raila anatuomba kura. Hatupi masharti. Na yeye ako anasema pia anataka aende afanye jambo. Nabii wetu Elijah Wanameme alisema siku moja uongozi uje kwa nyumba ya Mlembe.
In Kiambu County, UDA gubernatorial aspirant Paul Kimani Wamatangi has unveiled Rosemary Njeri as his running mate.
In the Almighty God and in our commitment and the people of Kiambu that we shall be able to transform this county and deliver change that people of Kiambu believe.
And Narok North MP Moitalel Olekenta, who is eyeing the gubernatorial seat, has unveiled William Oltentia as his deputy as he is set to face off with UDA candidate Patrick Ntutu. Ntutu unveiled his candidate a week ago where he picked a 30-year-old engineer Matthew Kirui from minority Kipsigis community.
We are here to ensure that devolution becomes a blessing to Narok because he has been a curse. Because resources have been looted left, right, and center. Our people have been suffering for so long, for more than 10 years. There are no hospitals, there are no medicine, the few hospitals that are there. There is no running water in most homesteads. There is no means of communication because there are no roads.
Kuna mambo ambayo yanaendelea huku Narok kwa sababu tunaenda uchaguzi na ningependa kuhakikisha ya kwamba kitu ya kwanza tudumishe amani. Sawa sawa. Tudumishe amani, tuuse sera yetu kwa sababu watu wa Narok wamejua ya kwamba hope yetu iko kwa Mheshimiwa Moitalel Olekenta.
In Nairobi, Kenneth Kinara Nyamwamu, a data analytic expert, is the latest entrant to the Nairobi gubernatorial race on a United Progressive Alliance Party UPA. The 47-year-old businessman and the registered nurse in Michigan, USA, unveiled Lillian Okuna as his running mate.
Running for governor for Nairobi to give a new face to Nairobi. To tell Nairobi can actually have their own person. To give sort of a voice to the people who cannot be heard or people who are scared of intimidation.
And a group of women in Nairobi County have drummed support for Agnes Kagure as governor aspirant in the county. The group want the president to consider a woman as a governor deputized by a male. This is after Raila Odinga unveiled Martha Karua as his running mate in the presidential race.
Hata akuwe mama kama vile umefanya Karua. So tunasema Agnes akiwa governor Nairobi sababu ni yeye incoming governor. Hata yeye akuwe na mwanaume running mate. Ni kweli kulingana na vile tulisikizana. Sina mengi nitasema, Azimio isonge mbele, iendelee kabisa na President Uhuru na baba mahali muko.
In Wajir County, an independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IBC is assured of a transparent and credible general election come August 9th. Speaking at Wajir County ICT Hall during pre-nomination exercises of various aspirants, Wajir County Returning Officer Mohammed Adan Ali said IBC is committed to credible elections.
Out of reference to 2017, but as an election manager, I have given them all the confidence that the rule of law in election will remain in force, and that we shall be free and fair as a commission, and that was our duty.
They assured us that the elections will be held free and fair, and every aspirant will be given equal security and protection.
Frederick Mwoki for Lunchtime News.
And on that political note, we ask you this afternoon, do you think most independent candidates will be elected in the coming general election? Do you think most independent candidates will be elected in the coming general election? Do interact with us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. Now, to education matters, the government is threatening to take action on girls in Kilifi County who benefit from scholarships and then get pre-game, abandoning education on the way. Angela Wafula, the Malindi Assistant County Commissioner, said the government had invested a lot of money to sponsor bright students from poor backgrounds with a view of changing their lives and would not tolerate indiscipline among the beneficiaries.
Flag off ili mwende shuleni na mfanye bidii.
Angela Wafula, the Malindi Assistant County Commissioner, says the beneficiaries of the Elimu Scholarship Program who fall pregnant risk being arrested. Wafula saying that such cases amounted to indiscipline and misuse of government funds at the expense of other deserving students.
Sisi tumeona wanafunzi wengi, sisi kama ofisi ya National Government, kazi yetu ni kufuatilia kuona kuwa kazi za pesa zozote za serikali zimetumiwa vizuri. Tutakuja hata kwenu kwenye maboma. Si mnajua wazee wa vijiji wako pale. Hiyo bado ni ofisi ya DC. Na watatuambia ule msichana wa fulani ambaye alilipiwa fees amepata mimba. Nitakuja kukuweka ndani kusema kweli.
Watamu Zonal Curriculum Support Officer Zuhura Masemo urged parents and guidance of the beneficiaries to continue counseling the children on the need to be disciplined in school.
Mengi yashaongelewa kuhusu wanafunzi wetu ambao sasa wanaelekea kuenda kwa masomo ya shule za upili. Kazi kwenu wazazi, tuendelee kuongea na watoto wetu. Tusiseme ushaongea mara moja yameisha. Tuchukue muda mwingi wetu kuongea na hawa watoto.
They spoke at Catholic Institute in Malindi Town during the flagging off of 269 Elimu scholarships and 8 Wings to Fly beneficiaries from Malindi and Magarini sub-counties. Meanwhile, Samburu North Member of Parliament Alois Lentoimaga is calling on the government to ensure that all learners who sat for the 2021 KCPE join secondary school.
Mwaka huu, wakati huu, serikali ya Kenya ijaribu namna kabisa tulete watoto waende form 1 na to address the issues wale ambao wame drop out. Wengi wame drop out kwa form 2, form 3, form 4. Wameenda jimbani.
The legislator spoke at Maralal Town in Samburu Central Sub-County, where Equity Bank selected 22 students to benefit from its Elimu scholarship program.
For this scholarship is a full one. It's offering school fees, uniform, pocket money, transport for our kids to ensure that they just able to enjoy all the services or all they're able to enjoy everything that any other kid is able to enjoy.
Whereas in Kakamega, 404 students who sat for the 2021 Kenya Certificate of Primary Education have benefited from the government's comprehensive Elimu scholarship.
We shortlisted 600 for the interviews, and we visited 530. Out of that, we have come up with a final list of 306 whom we feel are the most vulnerable.
A woman accused of masquerading as an advocate has been remanded in custody for indefinite period after her attempts to be freed on a bond were dismissed by the Kikuyu Law Court. Winnie Wairimu, who runs an advocate office in Kikuyu Town, has been termed as a serial masquerader.
Winnie Wairimu was arrested on the 27th day of April 2022 at Kikuyu Town, together with her secretary who was running an office at Kamango Shopping Center, while in the process of making documents otherwise reserved for advocates. Kikuyu Law Court Senior Principal Magistrate Jacinta Orwa, in her ruling this morning, said the suspect had been previously charged with a similar offense, where she was fined a sum of 100,000 shillings.
The accused one had been charged with a similar offense in Kikuyu Law Courts in 2019 and convicted, and if released on bond, is likely to abscond. Further, that investigations are still ongoing and likely to interfere with the investigation.
The second accused person, Margaret Wakarura Mwaura, was however released on a condition that she will not access the offices of Wawero Nyambura and Company advocates in Kikuyu Township. Edwin Austin for Lunchtime News.
The Bajuni community, Kenya, has made a declaration to unite and support their candidates to win diverse seats in the oncoming general election. The declaration, which is the first of its kind by the Bajuni Welfare Association, shall reach out to all their community members across the country with a view to unite and have one voice in the political arena. The Bajuni community is found in Lamu, Kilifi and Mombasa and other parts of the nation, and is known for their expertise in fishing.
The Bajuni community says through the unity, it will be easy to push rights. Led by Abbas Mohammed, the association said all Bajunis will support their own in Kilifi, Lamu and Mombasa.
Kulingana na unyonge, udhaifu tulionao kama Wabajuni kwa mengi kabisa, unyanya wageni katika miji yetu, kunyimwa haki zetu za kimsingi, kukandamizwa kielimu, kisiasa na kurudisha umoja, mshikamano uliokuwepo tangu hapo kale.
The association says it will resolve conflicting issues in areas where the community members are contesting same seat so as to get one candidate who will be supported by all.
Na kila kinachostahili chetu sisi wa Bajuni na kwetu kitaenda kwa suala la umoja. Hakutakuwa tena na masala ya mbange na kila mtu kwenda kivyake.
He said they are seeking unity on political arena, economically, education, and all issues affecting the Bajuni community. Famu Mohammed, the interim chairman of the forum, said Bajunis have suffered in seeking identity cards, birth certificates, and their unity will help push for their recognition.
Na lengo kuu la Bajuni Welfare Association ni kushirikiana na kuweka uwiano na uelewano pamoja na makabila mengine yote ya Kenya, tukielewa kwamba siasa hii dhamira yetu ni kusimamisha hasa malengo ya Bajuni Welfare Association.
Beatrice Gatonyengetich, Lunchtime News.
Now, residents of Turkana County are appealing to the government to restore peace in the volatile region. This follows a series of insecurity incidents, especially along the Kainuk-Lodo Highway, where several people were attacked by bandits.
Speaking in Lodwar Town, the leaders from the region led by Loima MP Jeremiah Lomorukai castigated the attack carried out by a neighboring community at Kainuk, Kaputir and Lokori.
Because when an element of insecurity happens across the world, it is taken as serious. I don't know why in Turkana these raids are happening, but we are not really seeing a full combat of security coming to face the kind of insecurity that is facing the Turkana people.
Najaribu kuambia serikali na Bwana Matiang'i, tunaomba sana kwa unyenyekevu. Kama ni boardroom meetings, hebu tujaribu tuache, tuangalie ni jinsi gani ambavyo tutasaidia Waturkana ambao waka katika sehemu hizi za Kainuk na Turkana South.
Kufanya hii siasa ya kuoa watu na kuchukua mali. So hii kitu tunaikataa na tumeamua tukiwa viongozi kwamba hii kitu iishe na imalizike, watu wa Turkana waishi na amani.
The leaders are now calling on the government to restore normalcy in the region to avoid loss of more lives and livestock as the electioneering time draws near.
Nataka amani, tunakufa, tunaumia, matumbo imechomeka. Amani, njaa inatumaliza, hakuna biashara. Sisi tunaenda biashara, lakini tunakosa sasa, hakuna kwenda. Tutafanya namna gani? Woi! Tutafanya namna gani? Uhuru kuja, Matiang'i kuja, Kibicha kuja.
Disarmament of heavily armed Pokos terrorists residing within the Turkana South National Reserve in Kadengoi, Lotongot and Namambu that acts as criminal hideouts to save the extinction of wildlife and eradicate highway robbery.
On his part, Rift Valley Regional Commissioner Ali Mohammed said security measures have been put in place to bring peace in the region.
Kuna GSU, kuna ile RDU, kuna ile ASTU, kuna OCS wa Kainuk, kuna wenzake. Kwa hivyo tumejipanga vilivyo kuhakikisha kuwa wananchi tena hawatasumbuka katika hiyo barabara. Na nikisikia nafikiria kuna mtu atenda nyumbani.
Businesses and transits along the route have been brought to a standstill following the frequent attacks. Ruth Wamboy for Lunchtime News.
Coast Development Authority, in collaboration with stakeholders in environmental and water management sectors, has called off a tree planting exercise in Kasemeni Division of Kwale County as part of a strategic campaign to increase forest cover in the country. The authority's managing director, Mohammed Kainan, said the reforestation exercise is aimed at increasing the forest cover along the water catchment areas of Muchuma Dam.
Beside us planting the seedling, we need to manage it, exactly supervise so that the trees are seen to grow. And it's only that way that we can at least achieve our goal of trying to reserve the catchment. We also do rehabilitation of degraded areas where we place some gabions. We also do and teach the community within the Muchuma catchment some modern soil conservation techniques like placing of terraces. And all these are activities which are relating to the catchment conservation.
Wengine tuko na changamoto ya mvua, tutajaribu pia kushirikiana na wenzetu kuona kwamba maji yanapatikana, lakini pia tunaomba sana wakazi wa eneo hili waweze kuwa wa msaada mkubwa na katika hali hii ya kuboresha mazingira ya maeneo haya. Kwa hiyo tunategemea miaka ijayo tuje tuone kwamba hili zoezi tulilofanya leo tuone matokeo yake yakiwa makubwa na ya kuboresha na ya kusaidia jamii hii sana.
We have been in collaboration with the Ministry of Water and CDA team to make sure that all the lands has been secured, and still we are going also to make sure through the area chiefs, this is the assistant chief and this is the chief, going down to the village elders, to Nyumba Kumi elders and all the clusters to make sure that all the seedlings that we plant are protected. So we must make sure that community awareness, the importance of the trees, the importance of this catchment area.
A section of residents in Parklands, Nairobi County, want the construction of a 10-story building stopped. The agitated residents say the building is being put up in a controlled development area and activities on construction takes place day and night, affecting their routine. This building under construction along Taza Lane in Nairobi's Parklands estate is the bone of contention between the developer and neighboring residents. The residents argue that this is a controlled development area that cannot accommodate such a building.
This area does not have a sewer line, and therefore it is not possible to construct such a big building and then expect that the toilet and bathroom effluents will be discharged within that building.
They further complained that the construction continued day and night, causing them sleepless nights.
Tunaelewa pia kwa hii development ama mjengo tunayoona, tukiangalia zile record wanasema ni approvals za Nairobi Metropolitan Services, National Construction Authority na NEMA. Zote huwa ziko na maswali mengi sana.
The annoyed residents say they have engaged the area police, the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, and the Nairobi Metropolitan Services Management to address their plights in vain. The developer was not willing to speak to the media over the matter. The agitated locals now want the construction of the building stopped.
Kuna institutions tatu: NEMA, NCA na NMS. Hao ndio wako na jukumu ya kuhakikisha hata wa leo kwanza zile amri za koti zilizotolewa zimefuatiliwa, na hao pia walipaswa kufuatilia. Ya pili ni wachukue hatua na wasimamishe ujenzi na baadaye waangushe hili jumba kwa sababu halijajengwa kulingana na sheria.
Grief has engulfed Emulundu village in Lurambi after a man was buried alive when a quarry caved in. The 31-year-old is said to have expressed fears before embarking on the job. Simon Mbune, who is the sole breadwinner in his family, which is young, had been left without an option but to proceed with the digging. According to his wife, Catherine Muchuma, Simon had been warned not to take up the task, but due to lack of a better option, he proceeded to the quarry where he met his unfortunate death.
Akaenda akatoka nje akakamua ng'ombe, akamaliza kukamua ng'ombe akarudi kwa nyumba. Nikamuuliza shida nini, kaniambia roho imekufa. Tena akaenda akafika pale juu tena akarudi. Nikamwambia shida nini, naenda huko lakini roho yangu imekataa. Nikamwambia kama roho imekataa, tafadhali kaa tu chini usiende huko. Akaniambia na nikikaa chini mtakula aje? Watoto ndio hao wanataka pesa ya mtihani, sasa unataka nitoe wapi? Nikamwambia basi enda, lakini pia mimi roho yangu imekataa. Ndio sasa nimepata ripoti mchango umemwangukia.
Donkey stakeholders in Kamulu and Ruai in Kasarani sub-county have raised concern over continued mistreatment and overworking of the animals, which sometimes cause their deaths and disease infections.
Speaking during a donkey clinic at stage 26 in Ruai, the Kenya Network for Dissemination of Agricultural Technologies representative Samantha Opere said the suffering most donkeys in the area go through is untold as they work without rest, transporting hardware materials and supplying water in one of the upcoming estates in the sub-county.
A concern that the donkeys in the areas in this area are being overworked because of the demand for services that they're offering. So there are donkeys that are taking hardware material to the construction sites, and there are donkeys that are supplying water in the different areas, homesteads and shops around the area. So for us, we've noted that when they have the poor harnessing and the high demand for work, then the wounds tend to be...
Donkey Owners Nairobi branch chairman Stephen Kamwiru Muthamia admitted to mistreatment and overworking of their animals to make a living.
Anakuanga na ngozi soft sana, yake ni nyepesi sana. Kwa hivyo ukifunga weke kitu ngumu, sijui ni kwa nini wengi unakuta ameweka mpaka kamba. Wakati umeweka kamba pale ujue punda wako ataumia. Na kwa sababu punda abebi na mwili, punda anabeba na shingo. Punda ni kubeba kwake, kufuruta kwake ni shingo. Si huko unafikiria wengine wanaweka wapi, shingo ndio furuta. Kwa ndio unaona akiumia. lakini ukimweka vizuri, matandiko yake hiyo mzuri, utakuta hiyo punda ako kazi na ako fiti na ako.
Kenya Society for Protection and Care of Animal representative Ian Kiringa called on the farmers to be alert with their donkeys and report cases of wounds and rabies for ease in organizing for vaccinations.
So we continue to urge the people who are working with donkeys and even members of the public to come together, help improve the donkey welfare in different ways. You can report donkeys that have been cruelly treated. You can ask the owners to report the donkeys to the vets so that they can get some treatment.
The farmers led by Winfrida Mukai and Pamela Atieno lauded the ban on donkey slaughterhouses, saying since it was effected 2 years ago, they have witnessed an increase in donkey population through breeding.
A year. So we've seen an increase in the number of foals in the area. Foals are small donkeys. So it's good to see that the population is increasing and also that the care that is given to the donkeys is better because they have shelters nowadays.
Kasarani Sub-County Veterinary Officer called on the owners to join groups so that their animals can have access to veterinary services. During the clinic, the donkeys were vaccinated against tetanus and also dewormed. Pauline Nasimiu for Lunchtime News.
You're watching the Lunchtime News. We are taking a short commercial break. Continue interacting with us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. See you in a bit.
After 10 years, Machakos County is gearing up to elect a new governor. How well do you know the candidates and what do they have to offer? KBC Channel 1 has organized a gubernatorial debate for Machakos aspirants this Thursday, 19th May, live from Scott Christian University, Machakos, exclusively on KBC Channel 1.
Tulisikia maombi yenu. Saa hii nawaeleza ya kwamba KBC Channel 1 imeandaa Road Somurua. I'm telling you, it is coming to you. Sisi tuko kwa mliango yako. Kwanza acha nikule kikombe ya chai.
Hata nimeka. Watu wa vibibi na watu wa vioja tuko mtaani kwenu sasa, nakwambia tutaonana mimi na wewe ana kwa ana.
Mama yangu alafu nikalipishe na mkate au sio? You requested and the KBC has decided to deliver. What do I say?
Twaja na kuambiaje, kila mtaa utatuona. Hebu kosa uchekwe.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back. You're watching the Lunchtime News. The family of a 4-year-old Pauline Nanjala is in distress after she went missing in Soweto area of Nairobi County. The girl went missing on 12th March 2022 while playing with her cousins. Her mother is appealing for assistance from the public to help her find her child.
Catherine Chebet is a mother in distress as she desperately seeks to be reunited with her 4-year-old daughter, Pauline Nanjala. Pauline, who was living with her aunt, had accompanied her cousins to the barber shop and went missing while playing on the afternoon of 12th March 2022.
Alienda na watoto wa sister yangu. Mtoto wangu ni msichana na sister yangu ni vijana. Sasa walitoka kwa nyumba tu wanaenda kunyolewa. After watoto kwenda kunyolewa, kurudi kwa nyumba, wakarudi tu vijana, lakini msichana wangu hakukua. Walikuwa tu wanajificha, wanacheza mchezo kujificha na mtu akienda kutambua mwingine hivyo. Sasa vile mtoto alienda hivyo, akiendanga tu hivyo, hakuonekana tena.
Her mother, who works as a house help, says she has spent the little she has to search for her daughter and is now seeking help from the government and the public.
Na vile alipotea hivyo, nilichukua hiyo jukumu, nikaenda paka police station, nikaripoti huko. Nikatembea police station zote, lakini sikuweza kupata mtoto wangu. Nimetembea, lakini sijapata ripoti yoyote.
Her mother says that fraudsters have taken advantage of the situation to cash in on her.
Na kuna watu wengi wamenisumbua kwa simu sana wakinikula pesa zangu. Kuna mwenye ananipikia kwa kwamba amepata mtoto wangu, anasema nimtumie pesa, natuma pesa. Na kumbe hao watu walikuwa wakora, walikuwa wamechukua namba yangu, sasa wakinipikia simu wakiniambia wamepata mtoto wangu.
The 4-year-old was last seen wearing a white t-shirt and a red pair of trousers with purple sandals. Any leads to the whereabouts of Pauline can be reported to the chief's office or the police stations at Kayole or Umoja through her mother's number 0768 727218.
All right, time for us to get to business news. The Ministry of Agriculture last month set aside 5.7 billion shillings towards fertilizer subsidies meant to cushion farmers and boost food production. The scheme, however, has been dubbed insufficient as farmers in Nakuru County decry shortages in fertilizer inputs despite the onset of the rains.
Farmers in Nakuru County have lodged complaints that they lack access to subsidized fertilizers. This comes after Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya allocated 5.7 billion shillings to help alleviate fertilizer constraints that had been triggered by logistical issues due to the global COVID-19 pandemic and the Russo-Ukrainian conflict. The government made provisions to ensure that farmers could now pay 2,800 Kenya shillings for a 50 kg bag of DAP fertilizer from a high of 6,000, 1,850 for CAN, 2,700 for urea, 3,000 Kenya shillings for NPK, 2,500 for MOP, and 2,500 for sulfate of ammonia. This, however, has not been the case, as farmers noted that the lack of farm inputs had adversely affected the planting season, with fears of a looming food shortage foreseen at the end of the season.
Fertilizer kwanza ndio iko juu sana, na sasa tulikuwa naomba kama tunaweza kuagusiwa kidogo, sababu hata wengine wanapanda bila fertilizer. Sasa ndio tunaomba Mungu awaguse wakubwa ndio wagusie fertilizer.
Climate change, however, has been a core issue as the ongoing drought has made accessing water an incredibly difficult task for the farmers.
Kweli tulikuwa na shida kubwa sana wakati wa kiangazi, sababu hakuna kitu chochote kikatoka ndani ya shamba. Kwa hivyo tulikuwa na shida kubwa sana.
The farmers are now calling on the government to ensure that the subsidy program is made available to all of them in a bid to help cushion their livelihoods.
Kwa wakati huu tuko sawa, sababu unaona mvua imenyesha, mahindi ni kubwa, viazi yenyewe ziko na matarajio, tunatarajia kitu. Tunashukuru kwa Mungu. Mwaka huu tunatarajia mavuno ikuwe juu. Mwaka hiyo ingine hatukuweza kuvuna chakula ya kutusaidia sana, lakini kwa mwaka huu tuna matarajio mazuri kulingana na hii mvua.
Ndutamo Kami for Lunchtime News.
The Cooperative Alliance of Kenya, CAK, has today begun a 3-day blood donation campaign to stock the country's blood bank and save lives. Chief Executive Officer of the CAK, Daniel Marube, has said the Ushirika Blood Drive is a way of giving back to the society as cooperatives, adding that they intend to reach at least 300 volunteering donors this year.
Need to donate blood, you must be between the age of 16 and 65 years, and you must also weigh 50 kilograms by weight. You must not be on any medication today, as in you must be feeling well. You should not have donated in the last 3 to 4 months. We don't have such a huge deficit of blood, but we have not met our targets.
The cooperative movement values cooperation. We cooperate with every partner that comes forward, and our business, our shared values as a movement, and enables us to be able to do things with a lot of ease. So we encourage those who do not, who have not subscribed also to be a cooperator somewhere, to come and see and learn how cooperation amongst cooperators works, and you get empowered.
So part of the activities that we are doing that resonates very well with the principles and values of cooperatives is to be concerned and to support one another. In Kenya at the moment, the demand per year for blood is 500,000, and we are encouraging the young people. If you are below 65 and you are in good health, come here and donate, sacrifice, support your brother who is sick in hospital.
Nigeria has issued a notice to motorcycle taxis banning their entry into the commercial capital of Lagos. The Nigerian government says the directive will come into effect next month and will restrict the popular mode of transportation from operating in most of the traffic-clogged city. Here now are the details of this and others in our African News Roundup.
The ban of motorcycle taxis in Lagos comes into effect just 2 years from the first ban. Locally known as Okadas, the mode of transportation is used by Lagos residents to conduct businesses and move around the city. However, Lagos governor insists the means of movement remains largely unsafe. The ban, however, does not extend to motorcycles being used for deliveries. Nigerian ride-hailing companies remain at the losing end of the directive as the ban closes off a livelihood for a population of 20 million. A similar restriction imposed in February 2020 fizzled out because of a lack of enforcement. Meanwhile, South African grocery and clothing retailer Pick n Pay aims to cut costs by $187 million in the next 3 years and grow its market share by 3% under a new strategy. Being one of the largest retail chains in South Africa, the company is seeking to improve shareholder returns, which have been dropping in the last 12 months in a highly competitive grocery market dominated by its biggest rival ShopRite. The cost savings will be achieved through efficiencies in supply chain, leveraging on working capital, and simplifying store operations. Pick n Pay had reported a rise in annual earnings earlier and is looking to get more customers to shop at its discount boxer grocery chains. Finally, Ethiopia has seen a growing potential in China's booming coffee market as the Asian country becomes one of the largest importers of Ethiopian coffee. China has imported over 5,000 tons of Ethiopian coffee over the last 10 months, enabling the East African nation and $30.4 million, up by 31% from the same period last year. Ethiopia is set to export a total of about 300,000 tons of coffee to the international market in the current fiscal year that will be ending July. Hibak Said for
Russia's invasion of Ukraine could soon cause a global food crisis that may last for years, the UN has warned. Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the war has worsened that food insecurity in poorer nations due to rising prices. Some countries could face long-term droughts if Ukraine's exports are not restored to pre-war levels. Here now are the details of this and other stories from across the globe.
The conflict had cut off supplies from Ukraine ports, which once exported vast amounts of cooking oil, as well as cereals such as maize and wheat. This has reduced the global supply and caused the price of alternatives to soar. Global food prices are almost 30% higher than the same time last year, according to the UN. Russia and Ukraine produced 30% of the world's wheat supply and, prior to the war, Ukraine was seen as the world's breadbasket, exporting 4.5 million tons of agricultural produce per month through its ports. But since Russia launched its invasion in February, exports have collapsed and prices have skyrocketed. They climbed even further after India banned wheat exports on Saturday. The UN says around 20 million tons of grain are currently stuck in Ukraine from the previous harvest, which, if released, could ease pressures on the global markets. Elsewhere, US shares saw their biggest one-day drop since 2020 after downbeat earning reports from some of America's biggest retailers. Target said unexpectedly high fuel and freight costs had cut into profits, which halved compared with a year ago. Japan's benchmark Nikkei index was 1.8% lower in Asia afternoon trade, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng was down 2.3%. That came after the S&P 500 index, which tracks shares of a wide swath of America's biggest companies, plunged more than 4%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 3.5%. The tech-heavy Nasdaq fell 4.7%. The falls added 2 weeks of declines on US financial markets. Target's update sent its shares plunging 25%, the biggest decline in more than 3 decades. The announcements from Target and Walmart were closely watched for signs of how consumer spending is holding up in the world's largest economy as inflation reaches 40-year highs. Finally, India's Power Ministry on Wednesday said it would cut domestic fuel supply to state government-run utilities by 5% if they do not import coal for blending by June 15, as officials struggle to address rising power demands. A heat wave pushed power use to a record high in April, leading to the worst electricity crisis in more than 6 years and forcing India to reverse a policy to slash coal imports. India had set state and federal government-run utilities a target to import 10% of their coal needs for blending with domestic coal. The Power Ministry had asked all utilities to ensure delivery of 50% of the allocated quantity by June 30th, another 40% by end August, and the remaining 10% by the end of October.
And on that business note, let's get back to the local scene before we cross over to sports news. And bodaboda operators in KBC County have been encouraged to turn up in large numbers and be enlisted at various registration centers to ensure they operate within the law before the deadline set by the government. The National Transport and Safety Authority Safety Officer Gerald Oyugo stated that 6,541 operators have been registered at KBC Huduma Center and Keumbu Registration Center.
Oyugo noted that riders who will not be registered by the end of the program will have a hard time doing their business.
Nawaomba sana muhimize wale ambao wako karibu na nyinyi watumie hiyo nafasi kuenda pale, kwa sababu saa hii watu wamepungua na senda zimefunguliwa nyingi. Si ni kweli? Sio kama ile wakati senda ilikuwa moja, watu wote wa kutoka Keumbu wa kutoka wapi wanakuja hapa.
He urged the operators to always give traffic officers time to determine the cause of the accident, adding that riders should not hide motorcycles involved in an accident or attack motorists.
Kukua boda boda, you need 4 items. Jambo la kwanza, uwe licensed. Jambo la pili, pikipiki ambayo unatumia iwe na insurance. Insurance yako third party PSV. Then uwe na helmet. Wewe rider uwe na helmet, your pillion passenger awe na helmet. Rider uwe na reflective jacket, pillion passenger awe na reflective jacket.
KBC Central Sub-County Cooperatives Officer Karen Mirier stated that the government required a minimum of 100 boda riders to form a SACCO, saying self-help groups cannot get loans from banks because they are not recognized.
Lazima tuungane for us to form a formidable group ambayo itatusaidia. Lazima tuungane, tuwe watu wengi, maana tukiwa watu wawili watatu tunakuwa na hizi tunaita self-help groups. Asitusaidia hata kidogo. You will not walk to a bank and be given a loan because you are not recognized.
Jelis Aladi for Lunchtime News.
To get to the field, Stephen Curry top scored with 21 points as he helped the Golden State Warriors beat the Dallas Mavericks 112 87 in their Western Conference final opener. The Warriors restricted Dallas star Lucas Doncic to 20 points in what was his lowest score of the playoffs. Andrew Wiggins, who was also key in limiting Doncic's impact, scored 19 points for the Warriors. Doncic averaged 29 points in the playoff series win against the Utah Jazz and 32.6 points in the semi-final series victory over Phoenix Suns. The next game of the best-of-7 series is set to take place on Friday, when the Warriors will again be at home in San Francisco. Chelsea can complete a league double against Leicester for the first time since the 2016-2017 season, when the two sides meet at Stamford Bridge in one of the 3 English Premier League matches on card today. Everton will be guaranteed a place in the top flight next season if they defeat Crystal Palace, while Aston Villa will be at home against Burnley.
Leicester will hope to finish in the top half of the top flight for a 5th consecutive season with a win at Chelsea tonight. Chelsea pair Kai Havertz and Mateo Kovacic are measured out with respective hamstring and ankle issues. Timo Werner is ruled out after suffering a hamstring problem in the warm-up to Saturday's FA Cup final. Andreas Christensen's availability is uncertain after he ruled himself out of contention against Liverpool. On Leicester City side, Yuri Tielemans and Ricardo Pereira are doubtful for Leicester with respective knee and hamstring problems. Kasper Schmeichel will start after being rested against Watford, while Papi Mendy may return from illness. Meanwhile, Everton defenders Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey have recovered from illness and injury respectively, while Donny van de Beek could feature for the first time since starting match against Crystal Palace. Burnley will travel to Aston Villa.
Rangers suffered an agonizing penalty shootout loss after 1-1 full-time and extra-time draw in their 5th European final as Eintracht Frankfurt triumphed an absorbing Europa League decider at Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan Stadium last night.